name is Dr. John Schrage, and I am going to be your professor this semester for the online section of ATS 113. It's fall 2014. As you may know, I'm actually one of only a handful of professors at Creighton who actually works off-site. I actually moved with my family a few semesters ago to Evansville, Indiana. My wife is a dentist and she purchased a practice here, and so we relocated. And I like it because it's a new challenge. Evansville is right where Indiana and Illinois and Kentucky meet. It's basically as far southwest as you can get in Indiana. I live here with my sons Xavier, who's 4, and my other son, Gabriel, who is 1. As you probably know by now, this semester's ATS 113 class online is actually a 16-week course. That's what the university calls it anyway. It just means that the class starts at the same time as all your other classes and it ends at the same time as all your other classes. That's actually a little bit unusual. Online classes are typically accelerated courses that only last about 8 weeks. But if you actually count the weeks on the calendar between the start and the end, you're going to find out it isn't exactly 16, it's more like about 14 by the time you take a fall break into account and so on. The reason why I'm telling you that is because actually online courses at Creighton are supposed to have 8 modules. Modules being something like units or whatever. Well, you can probably see what the problem is here, right? I mean, we have 8 modules that have to go into 14 weeks. It doesn't exactly divide up evenly. It means that some of the modules last 2 weeks and some of the modules last 1 week. It can be a little bit confusing. Some of them are going to be a little bit smaller, some of them are going to be a little bit bigger, but we're going to have to keep track of all that. And I'll be helping you take care of all that all semester long. I'll be sending you lots of reminders and so on. But one of the things I've also done right away to help you with that is I've created a calendar for you. It's an actual PDF file. You can get it off of Blue Line. And the calendar will have all the dates for all the assignments and all the discussions and all the quizzes as to when they're actually due. Go ahead, get yourself a copy of that document, and then do whatever it takes for you to make that work out for you. If that means putting the dates into your calendar on your phone, if that means pinning it up to the bulletin board or putting it with a magnet on your fridge, whatever works for you, because the most important thing really in any online class is to not fall behind. That is the number one student mistake that students make, is they fall behind in the class and then they start missing deadlines, and there's penalties when you miss deadlines on the online class and so on. So don't fall behind. Get all those deadlines, get them on whatever works for you, your calendar, your phone, whatever. And I will be reminding you throughout the course of the semester when each thing is due, but whatever you do, don't fall behind. As is really the case with most classes at Creighton these days, we're going to be making extensive use of Blue Line. In fact, pretty much this whole course is run out of Blue Line. And you should go ahead and just go now and check out the Blue Line site for this course. The course is divided up, as I said, into modules, and each module starts with a introduction to the material. There'll be a little video where I introduce and give you some strategies. You can get to see what the objectives that will help you know if you're learning the right things in the module. There'll be a plan for each module, all posted online on Blue Line as the introduction to the material. And then there'll be a series of lectures in each module. There's reading assignments, but then there's also lectures, where the lectures are online in some kind of video format. About half the time they're just there as an embedded YouTube video that I've recorded, similar to this. That should work wherever you are. Everybody can watch a YouTube video, right? About half the lectures I've converted to a much fancier format called Google Presentations. Google Presentations are really awesome. They're much more interactive and so on when they work. The problem is there's known bugs with Google Presentations, and sometimes it'll be very frustrating and because all of a sudden this Google presentation won't play for you. If that happens, you always have another option. If you scroll down in any of the lectures, you'll see that for every lecture that is in the Google Presentations format, I also have this sorted separately where each slide is just an image and each little YouTube video where I'm discussing that slide is linked separately. And so you can always just watch the video slide by slide. In fact, my experience from other semesters of doing this class online is that some students actually prefer that because they kind of control the pace a little better than it, moving rapidly right through a big YouTube video of a lecture. But either way, you can either watch it in that Google Presentations, which is pretty slick. You can go forward and backwards, and you can there's animations embedded in some of them and so on. Or you can just kind of look at each slide as an individual slide with a little YouTube video next to it. Either way should work. Whatever you do, however you watch the videos or whatever though, part of each lecture at the bottom of the page is a link to a survey where I just ask a few very short assessment type questions not assessing you, assessing how the technology worked for you, okay? Creighton wants us to do things like this where we're making sure that you are actually able to use the resources. Did the video work for you? Was it smooth? Could you hear the audio, etc.? So it would really help if every time you watch one of those videos that is one of the lectures, please follow that link and complete the survey so that we know what works and what doesn't, and we can improve the course over a period of semesters. Now, online courses are supposed to have discussions. What exactly discussions are is something of a topic of some debate at Creighton right now. You might say we're having a discussion about what these discussions should be, but online courses have to have at least 8 discussions where you guys participate in an online forum and you know, somehow participate and respond to each other's work. You use professional level language. You don't just, you know, have smiley faces and texting language. It has to actually be like professional communication and so on. Now in this class, a lot of the discussions, there has to be at least 8 of them, are really more like a lab activity, or maybe even more thought of as like a homework activity or something like that, where you do some activity on a map and you post it to the discussion, and then students respond to how did you do this analysis and so on. If it sounds a little confusing to you, don't worry, it's also kind of confusing to me. We'll muddle through it. We're going to get it. I'll be generous with grading as we figure it all out, okay? Don't let the discussions intimidate you, but don't miss the deadlines of these discussions either, okay? Make sure that you follow the discussions and do the things that are required of you. Make sure you use the appropriate level of language. There is documentation on the discussions that explain how it's being graded, about how you have to use professional communication, you have to actually use complete sentences, and so on. We'll get through this over the course of the semester, and I'll be glad to. I'll be providing you feedback all the way. Don't worry. Nobody's grade is going to be made or broken over these discussions. Okay, they're there to help you formulate your ideas about this material. Well, that's going to be about it. Okay, this is a kind of our little overview of how the course is going to work. Your next step after you look through the rest of the material in this sort of welcome to the class module is you're going to start working with module number 1, and I'll record a welcome to module 1 that talks to you about the kind of the strategies you should use in that first module as you get ready to start working on your homework and the discussions and finally the quiz for that material. All right, this has been Dr. John Schrage, and I welcome you to our class.